once you tell somebody how you fell into it, make sure you tell them why you fell in love with it
Yeah.
and continue
Mm.
to be a payroll professional.
Welcome to our podcast, It's About Payroll. We're your hosts, Brian Escobar and Walter William Duncan III. Whether you're new to the payroll game or a seasoned veteran, we have something for you. Welcome back, folks. Episode 101. This is a really great one. Payroll Conversations with Jody Parsons. Oh
Yes,
man, I'm so excited for this episode. But before we get into that, sir, how you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Before we get into our episode, time for a payroll news update.
All right, I'm going to start this off. I have an article from CBS News, and it's talking about pay raise increases for 2024. Got a couple of trends and stats for you.
Yes,
So the number
please.
number one key point here is salary increase trends. Employers in the U.S. are planning an average salary increase of 4% for the year 2024, slightly lower than the prior year's average of 4.4%, but higher than increases seen in previous years. Various consulting firms, including WTW and Korn Ferry, predict median salary hikes of around 4% for 2024, which is higher than increases over the past decade. So I think that's fascinating. I think that is good that increases are on the up. And so I think that is a thing, especially in today's economic climate
Heck
with the
yeah.
inflation and the prices being what they are. It seems like some companies are raising their pay for their employees, which is great. Number two, industry variances. Salary increases vary significantly by industry, with engineers seeing larger raises approaching 5%, compared to sectors like retail and education, which receive smaller increases. Federal workers are slated to receive a 5.2 increase this year, likely due to efforts to close the wage gap with the private sector. That's great for federal workers as well. Them getting their money they deserve to be paid. When you think about that, those are the postal workers, those are the government politicians, those people that are paid through the government for the things that they do. So they definitely need that as well. Drivers of pay raises. Three, inflation. Although lower than the previous year, it is still pressuring wages, with households needing thousands more annually to maintain their standard of living compared to 3 years ago. The tight labor market, exacerbated by pandemic related workforce exits, is prompting employers to offer more competitive pay raises to retain talent. We just talked about that in our prior episode, episode 100, where we talked about turnovers. And so that's good to see that more companies are being more thoughtful about competitive pay raises to retain those high performers, those top tier talent people. Number four, additional benefits and flexibility. Beyond salary increases, employers are offering greater job flexibility, with many providing options for remote, in office, or hybrid work setups, likely as a part of efforts to keep employees satisfied and to retain them. So, as we know, thanks to COVID, the remote has become a thing, hybrid work has become a thing, and I think that is here to stay. There has been some pushback in some industries and some companies saying had the return to office, RTO, return to office move, but there's been a lot of turnover for some of those companies as well, because employees are like, hey, I've gotten used to this way of life with
Yeah.
remote and hybrid, so
Yep.
that's what I want to maintain. And some of them are even willing to take less money in order to have their life set up the way that they want with their job. So that's
Yeah.
something to think about. And then my last one is number five, long-term wage growth concerns. While recent above average pay hikes are beneficial, they do not fully address long-standing issues of stagnant wage growth in the US. Americans still struggling to pay bills, and a
Yep.
majority reporting that their income has lagged behind inflation over the past year. There's a stat that we put out that we always refer back to. in the show, and it's that 70% of our fellow Americans, including ourselves, live paycheck to paycheck. There's another stat out there that says that making six figures, making 100K, not enough these days, and that it's not enough for the middle class to be able to afford to buy a home these days. So that's part of the American dream.
Yep.
And right now, a lot of people are not able to actualize that because their wages have not kept up with inflation, unfortunately. So that's my news update.
That's good, man. Good stuff, bro. Good stuff. Tough conversations. This episode is presented by TrakGO, the simply better employee time clock software that is going to make your life easier. In addition to the unique graphical employee time card that helps you quickly identify and fix mistakes, TrakGO is excited to announce it's now compatible with QuickBooks Desktop, providing effortless data transfer and reduced errors. TrakGO will not only save you time and money each week, but the easy to understand user interface and the ability to turn a tablet into a time clock will get you and your team up and going in just minutes. Find out what a simply better solution can do for your business. To learn more and sign up for your 14-day free trial, go to www.timetrakgo.com. That's www.timetrakgo.com. Or you can call 888-321-9922. That's 888-321-9922. Let's go. Yeah. Thank you for that. Mine is quick. Paycom has a product out there called Betty, and they're popular in the US. They're still growing, of course. And Betty is awesome. And I've been intrigued from Betty from day one because it lets employees drive the process. It's a new level of employee self-service on the time and attendance piece, right? I love that. I love employee self-service. I think that employees should have a lot more onus on their data and own their
Mhm.
information and own their approvals and their hours and things like that. And Betty is that, and that's the concept around Betty. But what I don't like about Betty is, or Paycom rather, is they have a commercial out there, right? And the commercials are great. I love to see payroll commercials. It definitely elevates the branding, like the game and payroll as a industry. But the
Mhm.
commercials, oh, the commercial makes it seem like employees doing payroll, and that's
Mhm.
just not the case, right? That the employee has some with Betty, the employees have a little bit more control over their time and attendance, approvals and controls and things like that. So, anywho, shout out to Paycom. I'm still a fan, right? But
Yeah,
not so much of the commercial. But they are
just it's
Betty expands into the UK. This expansion
nice.
to the UK reflects their commitment to providing innovative technology that simplifies the lives of employees, enables their clients to better engage their employees, and drives further ROI on a global scale. So,
Wow.
congratulations. Shout out to Paycom for getting into the UK. It's a huge payroll market, as we can see. A lot of our guests, a lot of our partners and counterparts are from the UK. We're constantly
Yeah.
collaborating with payroll professionals across the pond. So I'm like so excited to see that expansion for them. So shout out to Paycom and Betty.
Yeah. That's great news, man. It's great
Yeah,
news.
man.
Thank you for that update, sir. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm excited for our guest today, Jody Parsons. Like you said, I think she's going to be a great asset to the show, and I'm going to be fascinated to learn her story. Um,
Yes. I've been
so what
following
do you
her forever.
you have? Nice, nice.
Yeah.
'Cause, she's at the Kansas City Royals.
Yep.
Yep. Nice. Okay, nice. We'll get
Yeah.
into more of her story as we go along. But
Excited to have Jody Parsons on. She's a trusted payroll leader and subject matter expert, experienced payroll educator. I've taken at least two of her courses over the years, committed to increasing payroll's role in strategic business decisions. Man, welcome Jody L. Parsons, CPP, to the show. Jody Parsons has spent the last 9 years at almost 10 years now with the Kansas City Royals. She spent 3 years with ADP. Before that, she was with American Payroll Association, AKA now. payroll org for 7 years. And she was absolutely a APA president. I can't wait to hear about that. Wow. What an incredible
Yeah.
background. Welcome, Jody Parsons, just a rock star in payroll. I've followed you, I think, ever since you've been at Kansas City Royals. So, oh my gosh, welcome to the show. Thank you for honoring us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me. Excited to join you guys for this time together.
Yes, yes. So let's
Yes.
get right into it. How, origins, I don't get tired of origin stories. How did you get
Okay.
into payroll?
Yes.
So I had no intention of doing payroll. Ended up at a small company that at the time had maybe 150 employees in my home state of Iowa. Was doing accounts payable and had gotten that process perfected so that I was spending like half my day twiddling my thumbs because I didn't have enough to do. And one of my coworkers that was responsible for payroll one day got up. I heard her walk into the CFO's office and said, "See ya, I'm out of here." It's okay, I'll see you tomorrow. She's nope, not coming back.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And my boss, who was the accounting manager at the time, she was technically the backup for it. And every time that I heard her have to process payroll, I would hear lots of
Expletives.
cussing
Expletives.
and maybe a few like throwing of pens and shuffling of papers. And
Oh
so
my
I took
gosh.
Oh
that as
my
my opportunity to jump in.
Yes.
I said, I'm willing to learn it. Give it to me. I have the time. And that's how it started.
Wow.
I am also a former student athlete
Oh,
from the University of
Okay.
Iowa. So being
Okay.
involved in
so that's
sports
dope.
all my life, in order to keep myself interested and I have to have challenge.
Yes. Same here.
So once I determined that payroll was going to be my career, I started doing research, recognized that professional sports payroll is some of the most challenging payroll out there. And
Mm.
what better way to bring my two loves together than doing payroll in a professional sports team?
Yep.
Nice.
So once I decided that, anytime I would see any sort of job posting for a payroll role with a professional sports team, I would apply for it. Didn't matter if it
Wow.
was West Coast, East Coast, Florida, wherever I would apply. Being a little bit naive at the time, thinking, oh, there's not that many people that would apply for these jobs. Now, being on the other side, it's like people that are really not that have certain jobs apply for them because particularly in the payroll world, baseball, there's only 29 other people. Like,
Exactly.
Yes.
so now I'm always thinking, okay, when I applied, were if they even looked at my resume, were they like, okay, which player is she stalking?
Oh gosh.
And so luckily in 2000, early 2014, a payroll position here opened up and was posted. I had come down to the Royals for a job event probably 2 or 3 years prior to that. And I came with the intent of seeking out to that event. I went to the event with the intent of seeking out HR because we all know who gets you in the door,
Mm-hmm.
HR.
Yep.
So
Yes.
she was all by herself at that event because everyone else went to the hiring manager for the ticket sales and service and those types of things. So when the
That
job posting did open, I applied through the traditional means, but then I also took the chance that she was still with the organization and that her email convention was the same as the gentleman that had arranged the hiring event in
nice.
the previous years, and I sent my resume directly to her as well.
Yes.
Awesome.
And I
That's
truly
how you
believe
do it.
that is more how I got through the door
Absolutely.
than through the traditional way because there were probably I bet there were
Thousands.
150, 200, 500 thousands
Yeah.
of applications and was lucky enough that I had made that connection with her so that I did get in the door. And once I got in the door, as they say, the
Wow.
rest is
Rest is
history.
history.
Wow, that's a fascinating
I love it.
process that you use, a fascinating tool or a way that you
Strategy.
went about
Yeah.
strategy that you went about doing that. And I think that can be a tip for those
Yes.
younger generations that
Yep.
to go about it the way that you did. So I really find that fascinating. So like when you got in, when you initially started, how was it when you first started there? Was it crazy? Was it a whirlwind? I know you like challenges, but how was that experiences?
So I was very lucky. So the gentleman that I was being hired to replace actually stayed on with me from June until he was in the office until February of the following
Oh,
year.
wow.
And then he was still on payroll for March and April. So I had him with me for 10 months.
Got a good
Okay.
And
training.
Wow, nice.
yeah, and he was with the organization for 37 years, 35
Wow.
of those years being with
Wow.
payroll. So it was a blessing to have him with me because particularly in professional sports, it's a very cyclical
Yep.
process because you have spring training, you have the season, you have the postseason, you have the off season. And within payroll, we already are dealing with cycles of our own, but there's that additional cycle that's added in because of how professional sports season works.
Yeah.
So it was eye opening from the standpoint that baseball is very slow to change. And I'm was used to coming in doing a pretty quick kind of survey of the land and being able to start making changes and process improvements and those types of things. And one of my coworkers that had been at the organization for a long time, but in payroll basically said, slow your roll. Don't come, you're being perceived as a bull in a china closet.
Oh, wow.
And so
Yep.
you need to take it down a notch. And so I took that to heart. And I do think that it helped me adjust to the organization and really take my time in learning about those different processes and those
Yep.
different cycles.
Yes.
Amazing.
So that was nice. I will tell you October of 2014 was a whirlwind. I don't remember any of it because we actually
The World Series.
I joined in June and in October we're in the World Series or postseason for the
Right.
first time in I think it was 29 years, something like that. And so it was like everyone was just in a buzz. It was just a
Yeah.
buzz
The
at the
energy
office.
must have been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everything I could do to get people out the door.
Now,
Wow.
So
Jody, do you do payroll for the team? Oh, goodness.
yeah. So I'm specifically responsible for our 40-man roster. So that's all of your major league players, as well as all the travel team that travels with the team. And then my lead payroll administrator pretty much takes care of everyone else, including all of our minor league players, as
Okay.
well
Nice.
as the staff that are assigned to those affiliates. Now,
Wow.
in our world, we do not own any of our affiliate teams. So if you were to go to our AAA club in Omaha, Nebraska, the Omaha Storm Chasers,
Okay.
anyone that's working in the stadium, such as ushers, guest attendants, those types of things, those are going to be paid by that affiliate directly.
Got
I'm
it.
just paying anyone that plays or coaches on the field.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So I have, what is it, 180 minor league players, I think it is as
Oh, wow.
well. I think that number's right. It used to be
Just
270.
Oh, okay.
wow.
What lose a team?
Back in 2020, it got lost in the shuffle, but the minor league organization across all of baseball went through a contraction. And so I went from having 7, right? 7 minor league affiliates to now I only have 5. I think
Okay.
that's right. So,
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. We also saw that you were APA president. How was
yes,
that
Hi.
experience?
Yeah, for real.
that was really amazing. When I joined PAO, used to be APA,
APA.
I went to my first Congress in 2024, I believe it was, in Nashville, which we're going back to Nashville this May. So make sure you head to Nashville. It's a fun time. Um, and most people don't know this about me, particularly because in my professional life, but I am really an introvert at my core.
I couldn't tell.
And
You could have fooled me.
Mm.
yeah, yeah. So when I went to my first Congress, I remember being so inspired and being like, I'm with my people. These are my
Yes.
people.
Yes.
And I went up after the closing general session to introduce myself to Dan Maddox and introduced myself and said, one day I'm going to be your president. And when I turned around and walked away, I was like, okay, what did I just do? And what did I just say? But that's how inspired I was from that time at Congress.
Wow.
And
Wow.
that has stuck with me. Dan has indicated through the years that's what has really stuck, was memorable to him.
Heck yeah.
And so just through my continued involvement, starting with the local level and then progressing onto the national level and really being an advocate for the payroll profession, it's what led me to be able to be president. And it was a huge honor. Getting
Wow.
to travel internationally to represent the payroll profession was amazing.
Wow.
Going to Canada for the first time to attend their conference, getting to go to England and
Wow.
taking part in the CIPP's conference in Wales
Yes.
for a few days, and then going back to London, going to a professional soccer game on a
Wow.
Saturday, and then getting to go see my Vegas Raiders play
Oh
in
Hey.
Tottenham
nuts.
for the first professional football team or first
Game.
professional
Oh, you were
game
there?
that had ever occurred in that new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh,
And then
What a
finishing
the
out that
timing.
yeah, and then
Wow.
yeah, I was like, "How can this be happening to me?"
That's so awesome.
And then finishing up that trip with spending 3 days teaching UK payroll professionals about American payroll. And it
Wow.
was just great to make those connections and even get a bit learn a little bit about their payroll as well
Yeah.
and understand how there's things that are the same and there's definitely things that are different.
Wildly different. Yeah.
Yes.
Wildly different.
wow.
Oh gosh.
So
We
you had
just
go ahead, Brian.
no, I was just gonna say we just had Max from Payzar on
Oh, love
and
Max.
he's
Great.
how I
Yeah.
had one of my favorites. This amazing conversation we had, and he was forget what he was saying, but it was like the tax document is not always driven on the calendar year. Like it's different. I was like, what?
Mhm.
Yes.
That blew my
Mhm.
Yes.
mind.
Yes.
They still get paid monthly over there in some
Oh,
cases,
yeah.
and that's still normal for them. And again, if like I had told somebody, if you don't know any other way, then it
Right.
is. But for us, we're like, whoa, wait a minute, we want to get paid daily. Forget about earned wage access. We want to be paid daily now. So,
Yes.
oh
Absolutely.
my goodness,
Wow.
what an experience! Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
she has such a fascinating story. Oh, that's so
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
now, what would you tell someone that wanted to become president of payroll org? Is there like an established road to that, or do you just got to go get Dan Maddox?
It's never bad to make that connection with Dan,
Right.
obviously, but I think more importantly, it's about becoming part of the payroll community and being visible in the payroll community, whether that be hopefully it's through volunteering locally at the state and the national level. That's really helpful, but just also making those connections with others within the organization, reaching out to me, reaching out to former presidents or even individuals that you see being very active, maybe there's a Facebook group
Yep.
for payroll professionals. being active in that when you're studying for your certification tests, if you're taking classes like boot camp or something like that, making those connections with your instructors so that they can see that you're interested and see how much knowledge you have so that you can be visible and be seen, and making sure you put your name in the hat when it
Yeah.
comes, if you're a national member every year. I think it's late summer time frame usually, or even the fall. There's a email that goes out for a call for volunteers, making sure
Mm,
that you there's a form out on the payroll org website that lets you express your interest in what roles interest you. So making sure that you're self-identifying, you're interested and you want to be more involved.
I love
Because
it.
even through applying for the education grants that are available every year, that the top prize is getting all the payroll library,
yep.
as well
Wow.
as being able to attend any of the educational opportunities in person
Wow.
or virtually that you want for a year.
That's
That's going to
amazing.
show you that's going to show your initiative as well. And even if you're only one that gets a payroll source, it's a start.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So you have to have the initiative. You have to put yourself there.
That I've been telling people that just you got raise your hand. I just had the honor of starting to teach as well for payroll. And I'm telling, don't be afraid to stretch. Don't be afraid to say, hey, boss, I can help with that. I can do that. You
Mhm.
see your boss struggling with pay,
Absolutely.
I can do that. And I encourage them. I wouldn't have been, neither one of us, because Walt was another one that raises his hand. He never says no to new work, but that's gotten us to where we've been or where we are right now. And
Right.
raise your hand. Just put yourself out there, stretch into other. I know like payroll folk always, oh, benefits, and I'm HR. No, don't fight. Be a part of it. I've become a
Yeah.
401k expert because I wanted to help out. And oh crap, I got this thing.
What did
What's up,
Max
Walt?
say? What did Max say, Brian? He said that knowledge is meant to be shared. That
Mhm.
during
Possess.
that,
Yep.
yeah, not possessed.
Yep.
So that's how we grow. We
Yes.
Mhm.
share amongst ourselves. We share with other payroll
Yes.
professionals. We help each other out, and that's what is gonna, in my opinion, is what is gonna improve our careers and help us along the way. And
Yep.
thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And it
Oh
keeps
my
it
gosh.
fresh as well.
Yes.
And, like, for me, I'm one of those people that I have to understand the whole process, so
Hmm.
I have to start at the beginning,
Yep.
and I may be in the middle of the process, but I wanna see
Yes.
what that whole process looks like. It helps me understand I'm getting ready to probably go through a huge implementation.
Hmm.
And because I have been here the longest and I understand a lot of the history, how processes started, how they've evolved,
Hmm.
and now understand, have that knowledge of how the full process works, I feel like that's going to be a huge advantage when we go through
That's right.
this process, because I'm going to know if we make this change upstream, it has these potential impacts not only for me in the payroll department, but maybe all the way out to the end where the employee gets their
That's
paycheck.
right. That's right.
Yes.
And so I think that's another area that people don't necessarily understand. Payroll does not live in a vacuum.
That's right.
We rely on everyone in order to make that quote unquote perfect paycheck.
That's right.
So there's so many opportunities within the payroll function
Yep.
that, and looking forward to how it's going to evolve
Oh my.
over the next several years
Yes.
because of AI,
Yep. Technology.
technology,
Yeah.
automation. There's huge opportunities again for that younger generation that doesn't realize that we need project managers. We
Yes.
need data architects. We
Yes.
need
Yes.
programmers.
Yep. Developers, absolutely.
all
payroll
those things.
transformation
Yes,
professional. Oh
absolutely.
gosh, it's yes, absolutely. And it's so validating. And I thank you because I was again saying, telling the class that and the attendees that we need to think about payroll as it pertains to employee life cycle, right?
Yes.
That right, and that's beginning to end. And where do we fall? What information is critical for us in that process? Oh, what an amazing! It's
Yeah.
Yes.
so awesome. And
Even like I've done career fairs like for middle school kids. And a lot of them are
Awesome.
like, I got stuck coming talking to the payroll lady. And I always start my kind of time with them as why do your parents go to work? How,
that they
and they may not say it, but when I say they go so that they get a paycheck so that they can clothe you, so you have a roof over your head, so that you can participate in extracurricular activities, and it starts to click with them.
Yep,
And I'm like, payroll's the reason people come to work.
that's right.
Whether they know it or not, at the end
Yes.
of the day, we are the reason that people come to work.
Yes. We had a guest on, Adrian Resto,
That's what. Yep,
and
that's what
he
he
used to
said.
say his motto is that payroll is life. And at first, we didn't really understand where he was coming from, but after sitting down with him and recording, it's the same sentiment that you just shared, Jody.
Yep,
It's payroll impacts so deeply the lives of those people that we pay and service. Like
yep.
there's a stat out there, I think, that a new employee, after one payroll check error, they start looking for another job.
Yep.
The one error.
Yes.
So it is life. It is vital for us to get it right. And you going out to the middle school students, it's great I think it's a great stepping stone and a
Yeah,
great start to educate them at that age. So put it in their minds. Because I don't think there's enough emphasis from the education piece of
no,
how payroll works and how deep it goes. So thank you for
And
sharing
it
that.
yeah, and it's really interesting some of the questions that they ask about the profession that I some of us may not even think about initially. One of the 2 biggest questions that I was asked when I do these are, "Is it a job that I can earn a good living at?" Absolutely. You may walk in the door and it
Right.
may feel like not very much money, but it's still you have the opportunity. I will say that I'm in the 6 figures. There's other individuals you look at Da Davi Davita, I came from Laura from Entertainment Partners. She's an executive vice president. She just got back from being in Cannes and at the movie festival in Cannes,
oh
France.
wow,
Wow.
Last year at Congress, we had the head of payroll from Tesla speak to us. So absolutely,
wow.
there are jobs out there that are going to be well-paying jobs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The other
absolutely.
que the other question that I get from people, do I have to have a college education? And that's where I, as a hiring manager, have to be willing to say, I don't need someone with a college education to fill an entry-level role. As long as you are willing to work, as
Have that
long
attitude. Yep.
as you have a good can think outside the box, can think strategically, can think analytically, I don't really necessarily care that you have that college education.
right.
And you're seeing that not only in payroll, but you're seeing that across the board.
Oh
I
yeah,
believe
Yes.
the military just recently dropped their requirement of
the credits.
having
Yeah.
college background, or even it used to be you had to have at least a GED. I think they've
Hmm.
even dropped that.
Hmm.
So we as hiring managers, particularly in the payroll profession, need to understand that it doesn't take a college degree to do our work. Yeah, it's nice, but I'd rather have someone that's willing to learn the profession and do a good job than whether or not they have a college degree.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah, we talk
Yeah.
about that all the time. We did a show about whether to get the CPP or not the CPP, what that does for you. The two degrees came up, And also Google just hired their first developer with no college background.
Yeah.
So the game is changing. The landscape is changing for it. And we talk about it, right? Hire for attitude. You can teach the skill. It's that
Yes.
Absolutely.
attitude that got you,
Yes.
all of us where we are, is like having
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
proactive attitude, that good attitude.
Well,
Wow, amazing. All right,
Yeah.
so talking about the young folks, right? How could payroll pros really help attract new payroll talent? Something Max said. He said, we don't have to force people into payroll, but we need to make it visible for them. And
Yes.
it's
mhm.
here as a career. And those things you said, it's a great road. So any ideas, like how could we attract?
Show the blade again.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's one way.
And so we all have, when I was young, I, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wanted to be an Olympic athlete. I threw shot put and discus. There is no professional area for that. So it was Olympics. A lot of people don't realize that career paths can take you to where you wanted to be as a little kid. I was done with softball when I was in 8th grade. But look at me. I am in the professional sports realm. I think
Yes.
the other thing that us as payroll professionals have to be cognizant of is that a lot of times it's a kind of inside joke within the profession that we all fell into payroll or that we
Yes.
were voluntold to do payroll. That's all fine and dandy, and I think it's that bond we share, but we need to be careful about how that's interpreted externally,
Yes.
that people may be thinking that, "Oh, it's not a good role to have
Right.
because she's talking about how she fell into it." Once you tell somebody how you fell into it, make sure you tell them why you fell in love with it
Yeah.
and continue
Mm.
to be a payroll professional.
That's a
Yes.
slogan there.
That is.
Don't tell them why you fell in. Tell them
Yep.
why you
What you
fell
fell
in
in
love
love
with
with.
it.
Because
Gosh. Yes.
obviously, those of us
T-shirt.
that are advocates of the payroll profession, we're still here because we
Yes.
fell in love with it. Our reasons why we fell in love with it may be a little different. Maybe it's because I need challenge. Maybe it's because you find it important to help people.
Yep.
And maybe someone else finds it because it it saved them from a bad situation
Yep.
they were in previously and got them out of it. You never
Yes.
know what the true reasons are for why someone stays in a profession. Hopefully, it's because of positive experiences.
Yes.
And we have to make sure that when we're talking about that to our circle of friends, our families, going to career fairs, those types of things, we need to make sure that we're expressing how positive of an impact that the payroll department has. How now we have so much information about our employees that we can help executives make strategic decisions about the direction of a business.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
It's growing, it's changing. So we have to make sure that we're giving it the positive spin that it has. Because even I still remember my first interaction here when I went through my very last in-person panel interview. It was with the president of the organization at the time here at the Royals, and he said, "Why payroll? Payroll's not very sexy." And so I went on to explain why I love payroll. And then a couple of years ago, again, when Davidia from Executive Partners, her tagline is payroll is sexy. And it was like a full circle moment at that point in time. We need to make sure that we're presenting payroll as being sexy. Payroll is fun. It's exciting. It's
Yes.
not the back office function it used to be.
Yes. Amen to that. Yes, we love that.
Well said. Yes, that's awesome. All right. So we have a little game. Before we let you go, we have a little game that we've been playing with our guests,
Okay.
and it's called This
Nothing
or
too
That.
tough.
no, this or that. It's very fun and lighthearted, and you pick one or the other or neither or
All
both,
right.
whatever you like.
All right.
Um, well, I'll start it off and you finish it up.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
Right,
Okay, here
thank
we
you.
go. 1, 2, 3, 4,
That's
5,
8.
8. Okay. So, learning in a group or solo?
Ooh, can we go with both?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
There you go.
Um, because for me, a lot of times I hear things in a group and I absorb that information and it intrigues me. And so then I take the opportunity to then go research or find out more
Yes.
information on
Yep.
my own because I may have missed something
That's right.
or misunderstood something in that conversation. So the group setting is very good from the standpoint you're hearing all different points of view, you're
Yep.
hearing problems
Yeah.
or information that you may not have thought of.
Yep.
And for me, then it's important to go and figure it out on my own.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just
Nice.
did something recently too. So attendee stumped me, and I was like, "Oh wait!" And I researched it when they came back the next day, and I said, "I got some info for you now."
Yeah.
Okay, next one: a night out or a night in?
I probably already gave this away because I
Yeah.
said I'm an introvert at
Introvert.
my core. So typically I'm a night in,
Okay.
but last night it was a night out because Caitlin Clark from my college alma mater, I had to watch her break that scoring
Yes.
NCAA scoring record.
She's gonna change the
Nice.
game. She's a game.
So
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
I think it depends on the situation and it depends on my mood,
Ah,
all those things. So I'm
okay.
not doing a very good job of choosing one or the other.
No,
Oh,
it's
you're good.
okay.
You're good.
It's
It's a
okay.
game.
Fruits or veggies?
I am a meat and potatoes kind of gal coming from Iowa. I will say probably more veggies. I like a good salad.
Okay. The beach or camping?
I'm gonna go with camping. First of all, I have some great childhood memories from camping. Every once
That's
in a while, I'm like, I wish I would go camping again. And
Yeah.
ultimately, if you go camping, you can find a beach.
That's right.
there you go. there
All
you
right,
go.
Walt's gonna finish it out.
Baseball or football?
Football.
Oh, okay, okay.
I am a football girl.
It's
Yeah,
the
go
She
Raiders.
didn't say
Raiders.
that, Royals. She
Raider
didn't say that.
Nation. Raider
You know,
Nation.
I'm with you with the Raiders because you know who their head coach is, right?
Now, AP?
AP. He's a New York Giant. AP. That's
Yeah,
right. All
yeah.
right, my bad. Go
So
ahead, Walt.
Sweet or savory?
I'm gonna go with sweet.
Okay,
I'll go with sweet.
what's your favorite sweet? 'Cause I have a sweet tooth. I think Brian has a sweet tooth as well. What's your favorite sweet?
So specifically, I am a dark chocolate fiend.
Ooh, healthy
Um,
chocolate too. Fancy.
oh yeah. And you put dark chocolate with strawberries
Mhm.
or red raspberries,
Ooh.
there's no going back.
Mm,
No
mm,
going back.
I have to try. I haven't got you. All right.
Yeah.
Wine or sparkling cider?
Yeah. I wish I could develop a taste for wine. I really want to. I just don't have that. I never been able to develop it.
Me too. I try to
Mm,
do the same thing, but it's so tough.
I'm gonna have really, it's neither. I'm not.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Um, give me a good unsweetened iced tea and I'm good to go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. The last one. Finance or HR?
Mm.
So I am going to go with, I'm gonna be a little controversial. I'm gonna
Ooh,
throw something in a little different.
ooh,
I
okay.
think it should be payroll.
That's right.
Oh, I love that.
I
That's
don't
right.
think I think that because of our role and because of our information we deal with, we are always going to be a combination of finance and we're always going to be involved with HR. So
Yes.
why do we have to be one or the other? Why
That's right.
shouldn't we be seen as our
Stand
own?
the it.
we stand alone. Now, have I ever been in that exact situation? No.
Yeah.
I tended to always report to finance, and particularly here, I think it does make sense for payroll to be part of finance just because of the sheer volume of cash that's flowing through my hands.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the other reason I've always enjoyed being in finance is because I always feel like it's more about protecting the company's assets, and it's very black and white. Whereas when you flow a little more to HR, depending on your HR group, it's more about how the employee feels. And so the black and white become gray. I don't do well in the gray area because it becomes too much about interpretation.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I am a huge advocate. We should be standalone.
I love it. I
Amen.
love it. You heard it here first. Jody Parsons said it. Payroll
Yes.
standalone. That's right.
Yes.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Now, we really, you tend to be more black and white, no gray. And hey, no, your correction will be done on the next payroll, for example. Whereas in HR, it's more, let me see if I can pay today. Do you agree?
I do to some extent. However, for me, it's been a progression through my career with the customer service side of it. When I was younger, I would be that hard nosed, nope, you gotta wait. You gotta wait.
Mhm.
But that's also how we sometimes get perceived as being heartless.
Yep.
Whereas you need to look at the circumstance. Somewhat, for example, for a player here, for a major league player, missing a $50, $100 reimbursement or something being included on their check may not have a huge impact to them. My minor league player that is just during the off
Paycheck to
season, they're
paycheck.
getting $625 a week gross.
Wow.
$10 could make or break them
That's right.
Yes.
in a paycheck. So you have to be cognizant of who you're speaking with. Make sure you're working with them. Find out, is it okay if we wait
Wait.
until the next payroll? If not, let me see what I can do for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We as payroll professionals should have that heart, should have that compassion
Yes.
to know how much of an impact we have on people's lives and be willing to go, no pun intended, be willing to go to bat for them
That's right.
when that's going to create a hardship for them. We have to
Yeah.
understand that. And that's also going to make a huge impact on how we as payroll professionals are viewed not only within our own organization, but that word spreads across to friends, family, and people are going to start understanding that we aren't heartless, that we don't intentionally mess up people's pay, that we're wanting to work with you as a coworker, as a teammate, to make sure that you can make rent, that you can put food on your table,
Yep.
those types of things. So I understand where that history comes from.
Mhm.
But for me to be the best payroll professional I can be, I have to be compassionate. I have
That's
to
right.
find my heart.
That's right. I love
That's,
it.
that's
Well
awesome.
said. Such a awesome ending. And one more question. What was that? What was that last one for?
What parting words or advice would you to payroll pros that are just starting out or maybe having a rough go at their situation right now?
I think the biggest thing is to remember your why, remember why you got into the payroll. Seek out that circle of colleagues, make connections because we've all been there, all done that, so we can offer support, we can offer ideas, we can even just be the ear that listens if you don't want any feedback so that you have that vent, but make sure you're making those connections with other payroll professionals because we are a community, we are a family, and we want what's best for one another. And we want you to be a part of it so we can make a positive impact across the board with our customers, which are our employees.
So perfectly said. Thank you so much, Jody. We can't, oh my gosh, what a pleasure it's been to have you on, to talk to you in
Absolutely.
person. And oh man, it's wonderful. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
absolutely. Thank you again for the invite. It's been great spending some time with you guys.
Before we sign off, here are a couple of quick things. Don't forget to follow It's About Payroll on LinkedIn and It's About Your Paycheck on Facebook and TikTok. Thank you for being a part of our payroll community, and thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and most importantly, keep going.